Hello and welcome to All For United with me, John Foster, MUFC. Got a packed house tonight. What was it, Andy, that you said on Twitter?
We've got the biggest panel because we need the biggest response, don't we, after last week?
I agree, Andy. I agree. Let's just say hello to everybody while I'm here. Andy, you had a good week, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Eventful, but, that's what my life's like. What about you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Yeah, obviously, what's happened has already happened now. Our mind is fully on Birmingham. Connor, you'll be going to that match. How are you doing, mate? You okay?
I hope I'm going to that game if I can recover from whatever this illness is. But yeah, not too bad other than that.
Tano, we'll be speaking earlier on your channel. First of all, give your channel a bit of a shout out, and also, how are you keeping? You okay?
Yeah, John, I'm okay. My channel is the United Star, so if you're on it, just let me know.
Okay, John, are you okay, mate?
Not but too bad.
Awesome.
Glad the electric's back.
Yeah.
Sounds like my life.
Yeah, don't start Andy up on his house because it's stressful to say the least.
That's just for you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, welcome to the channel, Maisie. You okay?
Well, good, thank you. Thanks for having me as well. I've been excited to be on all week.
It's good to have you.
We've kind of threw it at the deep end here because we don't usually have this many people on, but it's kind of broken a little bit gently as well because there's quite a few people that we're talking as well. But just give your channel a bit of a shout out as well because it is a real good one.
Mm-hmm. My channel is Devils United.
And it talks about men's team and women's team.
Yeah, it talks about both men's and women's football. I did literally stream last week, both with John and Andy on there to do a match reaction for the Chelsea game.
Awesome. Yeah, really enjoyed that one I did. So thank you for having me on.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, awesome. And Emma, you okay, mate?
Yeah, not so bad. Back on nights with work this week, so I don't actually know where I am right now.
None of us do.
I did 3 years nights. They're a killer.
Connor, I think it's the match because I've got the sniffles as well.
Honestly, I wouldn't. I'm really. I'm supposed to be at Old Trafford in 24 hours time, or not even that. It's like 16 hours time. I don't think I'm going to be going to the
flu.
Yeah.
Hello to everybody in the comments. We've got quite a few people watching, so throw your comments in there and we'll answer them between topics. So yeah, Andy, let's start off with yourself then, mate. I've got it along the bottom there. What do we need to do now after Chelsea? It's a great question.
Yeah. Now I finished crying. No, honestly, it wasn't that. No, it was actually that bad. To be honest, it was bad. But I was interested in what the panel view is on what we need to see after Chelsea. Because to be honest, as I said to John in the week, if we beat Birmingham 1-0, that's not good enough. That's as bad as a loss, in my opinion. And I think essentially what we're going to need, and what I think would be great, both for the fan base psychologically and if we can for the players, is why don't we get our goal difference back? Why don't we essentially beat the difference Chelsea got from us? So it's 5 goals, isn't it, technically, because we got 1 back. And I think, that's definitely doable against Birmingham. I don't know if Emily Ramsey is going to be allowed to play against us because I don't know enough about football generally. If anyone on these guys might know with her being on loan. And if so, if not, especially, she's obviously they're going to have their number 2 keeper in as well. I know we're not exactly, going OTT with talent up front at the minute, but we have got some. And I would just love to see, personally, us to come out of the blocks. And actually, I think Russo's got to start. If she can't do 90, we just need to flip it. So instead of bringing her on to do the rest of the game, start her and pull her if she can't do 90. And I think that my thing, what I'd say we need to do is I think we need a big score against Birmingham. It's not going to completely matter because in the back of the mind, it's Birmingham, not City. But I think if we could get back our goal difference, it almost, well, maybe this is how I'm dealing with it, makes you think, oh Chelsea never happened in a way because we get our goal difference back. But I'll be interested to see what people's thoughts on that is.
So we start off with yourself then, Emma. You want to come in on this one about maybe starting lineup? There's a couple of suggestions in the comments already. But yeah, it's going on what Andy said.
I think, yeah, we just need a performance more than anything else because that didn't happen on Sunday. We couldn't even string 2 passes together. I banned myself from saying a certain word tonight, so I won't mention that. But put it this way, players need to show up on Sunday. But yeah, I've seen an interview today with Mike Skinner, and he's basically saying the same thing, but obviously it didn't work against Chelsea. So, like we say, we need to put a performance in, and that's going to be my buzzword for tonight.
Natalie said a great thing yesterday on our podcast on Thursday night, and she said that if there's one question she could ask Skinner, and I'm going to mention it now because it was a cracking question. If he was in the press conference or asking a question, do you now know how big Manchester United is? Because literally just one defeat against the champions, and the fan base, I wouldn't say turned, but for a few days, all of a sudden, fans were saying things that was a bit different to what they have been saying for the past 6 weeks. And, I think that was a cracking question. And I think during Skinner's interview, it did look a little less animated. It looked like he's had a bit of a tired, exhausted week, which is obviously expected when, you come off the back of that defeat. And I think it's right as well. If he had come in bouncing around as if nothing ever happened, then I think we would probably complain about that, wouldn't we? So I'm sure he's been kicking people up the backside this week, and hopefully reduce that reaction. Colin, let's just bring you in next then. So apart from the personnel, what are you kind of hoping to see from this game coming ahead?
There's two main things for me. One is composure on the ball, because I'd say about four of Chelsea's goals came from that, especially playing out from the back. If that is what he wants to persist with, unfortunately, he can't change it. He can't say, right, we're going to play out from the back one week and then long ball at the next. If that's what he wants to do, he's going to have to stick with it, and the players are going to have to get used to it. So composure on the ball is the first one, but width from the front players is the second, because I don't know whether they're being told, but Galton and Handsome so narrow again. And when you're playing a false nine, I get why they're coming inside, that kind of on the diagonal coming inside, but then you're relying on Hannah and Honor to get so high up the pitch to provide the width, and when you do that, Chelsea just hit us on the break. Their second goal came exactly from that, because Hannah and Honor were so high. You're then leaving two centre-halves on their own against a very good forward line that Chelsea had. So I'd like to see width from the forward players. So you want width from your fullbacks as well, especially against Birmingham. It's probably going to be all out attack anyway, and Birmingham kind of backs against the wall. But when you're playing these top teams, you can't have your fullbacks so high and your forwards almost as inside forwards. You've got a false nine and you've got two attacking midfielders as well. You're almost just asking for trouble. You're leaving your back two and one holding midfielder or two, depending on who it is. Zellerman, I know Jackie there at the time, but it was only really one of them that was sitting and the other one was a bit further forward. So we're going to need some more width up front. I know Benny is very an advocate on saying chalk on the boots. I wouldn't go that far and say, that old-fashioned saying, but you just need width to break teams, especially the way Birmingham are going to play, sitting everyone behind the ball. They may as well have a double-decker bus in front of goal, because that's probably what it's going to be like. We're going to need width to get in behind, and especially we don't know whether Roos is going to start, whether it's going to be a false nine again. You just need width to stretch the play a little bit and start tiring out the defences, because otherwise it just makes you easy to play against. Just like I said, you're expecting the fullbacks to go so high. And yes, we know that the Honor and Hannah can get forwards and back, up and down the pitch quite quickly. But you can't ask them to do that every single game for 90 minutes, because it's just going to knacker them out. And like I said, you're just asking for double in defence. So definitely composure on the ball, especially at the back, and just get some more width.
Yeah, Charlie, we were speaking a bit earlier, weren't we, on your channel, which will your show will go out soon. I'm not too sure where, but about very similar comments that Conor was just saying about using width and maybe changing the front three around a little bit. It's something that, do you think that we need to do that? Because as Conor says, and people in the comments, they will sit behind the ball, won't they? They'll be very happy with a 0-0, 1-1, scrape a last minute goal or whatever. Can you see maybe a change of tactics against Birmingham?
Yeah, of course, that my topic today was starting Haley Ladd, and that's the sole reason that I would want Haley Ladd in the team, is because, like Conor mentioned, against Chelsea, our fullbacks were, playing high in the pitch, and were playing a high line. So when Chelsea were in possession, our defenders and our midfielders weren't able to track back properly. And that's why there was a lot of space, and that's why we conceded a lot of goals. So that's why I would want a CDM, so that once we are in possession, the CDM drops into the defense and the fullbacks can go forward and, like Conor said, stretch the width, cause some damage from the width, because we've got amazing wingers, we've got amazing fullbacks, and that's our speciality. So that's why I would want a CDM, so that the CDM drops in and the fullbacks can go high, play a high line.
Just quickly, sorry, John, I know you want to be on, but Galton as well, in particular, has looked her best this season in the first the first 2 games, especially when she's attacking at defenders. You can't do that when you're so narrow, when the midfield's so congested. If she's further wide, she can pick the ball up in the wide areas and then turn and run at the fullbacks. At the moment, she's so narrow, so she's picking the ball up in such tight areas. She's looked good in doing it, and she can kind of turn on the ball and create a little bit of space. But I'd like to see her out wide because she can definitely beat people on the when she's running inside. I'd just like to see her do a bit more because I think that's one of the strengths I've seen her do so far.
Maisie, we spoke on your show, didn't we, about Russo potentially starting this game. Is that someone that you would like to kind of see in this game, or stick to pretty much what we saw before? Yeah,
I really liked Russo when she did come on for against Chelsea. She looked absolutely electric. She was the one who got our goal. She was the one who she hit the bar and nearly made it a second goal for Manchester United, even when I was watching it thinking it was a goal, until I had to replay it again. But for me, I think she definitely does need to start and maybe put Ella back in midfield, see how that goes, because Ella she can get into them tight spaces and she is good in them tight spaces, and that can hurt Birmingham, for instance, who are going to sit back, because especially when a team does sit back like Birmingham, you need to find them tight little bits of space to try and create goals, and Russo is a natural goal scorer for me, and I feel like she's front for Birmingham.
Yeah, John, I mean, just going on Andy's initial topic there, I mean, we could talk about the players, but what do you think is the main thing out of this one, John? What would you like to kind of see?
The problem is wing play doesn't suit a false 9. It just doesn't. You can't play wing play and a false 9 because as soon as your winger gets into a position to cross the ball, there ain't going to be anybody in the box. So it doesn't matter how many balls that will be crossed, there won't be enough challenge. I mean, the problem is, even you might have one. That's 3 defenders to defend against one player. They don't interact well. Your width has to come from the midfield or the defenders, and then you have your wingers or inverted forwards in this case as your main strike threat, which has been what he's been doing because we've got no strikers. So definitely agreed that Russo needs to play. We're playing against Birmingham, so we shouldn't need a false 9. We shouldn't need 2 defensive pivot players. So everything says, like Andy says, let's go for the throat, let's actually attack. But going forward, that is going to need to think about this really critically. And I don't think you can play Galton and Hansen if he's going to play false 9. You have to play either Thomas or Russo as one of those wingers or inverted forwards. The problem is that, and the problem with that is Hansen and Galton have been our most creative players, quite clearly. So I think at the moment his tactics don't match the form and the players that are available. But I can understand why he's trying to promote that. He's trying to develop the team. He's trying to try and develop the patterns of play.
Yeah, can I just bring it? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Can I just bring it back? So obviously, I'm going on about goal difference. Does everyone else feel like me? If we won 1-0, would you see that as a problem, or am I just getting all dramatic, which can't be a thing?
No, I think.
Sorry, can I just quick? So just because at the cup match at the week. It took, I think it was about 60 minutes, or at least in the second half, before Chelsea brought them down, and it was just a case of like picking the right moments. Obviously, Chelsea can finish, and we've seen that, unfortunately. So that's where we need to like suck it up and, like I say, have a performance. So I'm looking for goal difference, like Andy says, but if it's like a 1-2-0, 3 points is 3 points.
Yeah, no, I do get that as well. As I said, I can get a bit dramatic, so I was going to say maybe it was a little bit of that, but yeah, I'll take 2-0, but 1-0.
I think the problem is, and what you want is what we should be doing. We should be putting a team like Birmingham to the sword, because that's exactly what Arsenal would do, Man City would do, with Chelsea to do, and that's what we're attaining to be. We're attaining to be a top 3 side. So if we're going to be a top 3 side, these are the sort of victories we should be winning. So I totally agree with what you're saying. It's just whether we're there at the moment, form-wise or understanding the tactics.
And also, just to kind of play devil's advocate on that one. So, if at the start of the season, out of the first 5 games, we won 3 against the 3 weaker teams, drew 1 and lost 1, I'm sure we'd all take that. And even if those wins were like 1-0, we would still probably took that, because that's still, what would it be, like 13 points out of 15. So at the start of the season, if you said 13 points out of 15, or however much it would have been, probably less than that, wouldn't it, with a loss. But we would have still took those points. So I think points obviously are the main thing. But I think I do agree with Andy. I think the fan base needs goals just to kind of calm things down a bit. I do think Skinner's in a bit of a lost kind of position in this game, because even if we do win 5-0, people will be like, oh, well, he's expected to win 5-0 here. But it's going to be so hard, and typically the mentality. There is a question that I've just seen, which I'll answer myself, and then I'll change the topic. Just regarding this one here, just Katie said I need a game or 2 on the bench. This for me, I don't think I would just like to see Bobby to start more than anything. Katie said has played most of the games so far. We haven't seen Bobby and Jackie play together. We've seen a lot of Lucy Stan. We haven't seen Tooney play in midfield. We haven't seen Hayley Ladd play much. So some of them's going to drop out. So I wouldn't have a problem if Kate was to drop out to this game if it means that Bob Reese is going to play or Hayley Ladd. But I'm sure we'll see. And I know Atanu. That brings us on to Atanu's point now then. So talk to us about Hayley Ladd, Atanu.
I think before we talk about Hayley Ladd, I think Emma wants to say something about Katie.
Okay, I'm banning myself today. We can all see that.
Atanu, I thought you were so sweet when I first met you.
No, it's fine. No, like we can see from the last few games, she hasn't been performing, and that's fair enough. Whether she has the airband or not, we're just saying as a player, she isn't doing the job she should be doing. So therefore, change it. This is an opportunity as Birmingham, lesser team, to change things, and especially where we've got Martha Thomas out, change how our dynamic works, and that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I'll just jump in a little bit as well. I was just saying that this is what the problem is when she's your captain, because your captain has to be the first name on the team sheet. When that isn't the case, that causes a manner of problems. And being a new manager, he had the opportunity to change the captain when he first came in pre-season. He chose not to. Obviously, I see because she was doing quite well in pre-season. But I'm just going to say there is definitely a question mark there about whether or not, is the captain protecting her a little bit? And I think it might be. But as you say, we need to move on.
Go for it, Tanya.
Yeah, so just building up on this, I think rotation has to be there. No person should, Mark Skinner shouldn't cut any slack to any of the players. He should be doing the rotation. He should be ruthless. And coming to my point, I think Hayley Ladd should start. I spoke about this in the last Friday night's fans forum as well. That Hayley Ladd should start against Chelsea. Like the point that I made, when Hayley Ladd can drop into the defense when we are in possession, and the wingers can play like wing backs. So I really want to see Hayley Ladd start. She hasn't done anything wrong. She's played 2 full 90 minutes games for Wales as well. So yeah, I think that sums it up that Hayley Ladd should be starting. Ville Borisa should be starting, and the third midfielder should be Jackie Groen in this game.
Mm-hmm.
See, I must admit, I disagree with that, Atanu. I don't think we need 3 midfielders. I think it should be. I mean, I totally agree with you. My topic was what's the problem with Hayley Ladd? Because this is the second manager to consistently not play her. So are they seeing something we're not?
Wasn't it one Skinner? Because he was in Birmingham. Did he have him in Birmingham as well?
But if you think about it, Casey stopped playing her for a good portion of that season prior to her injury as well. Afterwards, but she'd stopped playing well before her injury. And then Skinner's come back, he's had Hayley Ladd, and he's still not playing her. So I'd like to know what the problem is there. Personally, I totally agree. We needed her combativeness in midfield against Chelsea. It was to play 2 weak defensive players like Jackie and Katie was just suicidal. Jackie is a brilliant presser, and in that respect, good defensively. But she's not a great tackler. She's weak defensively. Katie is not there defensively at all, that was suicidal in my book. You could play one of them with Hayley. Or, I mean, even Lucy Stan is for me, is better defensively than Katie. But I think which is what we said prior to the game, that Jackie and Tooney are two best pressers of the ball, and I think that's what he was going for. So I can understand playing Jackie, but she needed somebody next to her defensively. But going back to Tanner's point, you're playing Birmingham. You shouldn't be playing it's not free in midfield like that. I think this is where you do play Tooney in midfield. You play her as the number 10. Then you play, I don't think really you probably need Ailey Ladd against Birmingham. Well, certainly you shouldn't. So maybe it's the opportunity to play Bo Risa and Gronin, something like that.
The thing, just my quick 2 cents on this, because I haven't seen Hayley before this season, so I'm literally judging her off the bit against Chelsea, which she gave the ball away for the 5th or 6th. I can't remember. I'm trying not to remember the goals. It was one of them. But the thing is, my question is, you've got to take one of them out. He's not going to drop the captain, because for a manager to drop their captain, you've got to have a really bad run of games. I'm talking like 6 or 7 games on the bounce. Otherwise, I'm sorry to, whatever. You've then got Jackie, who everyone really hypes up. So you're not going to, do you take Jackie out? Lucy, for me, apart from Ella, has been our best midfielder. People can debate that or whatever, but I think she's been the most solid. So do you take Lucy out? You're not going to drop Ella. So that's 4 midfielders already. So then who do you drop? You've got to drop one of them to get Hayley Ladd in.
And I think this has been his biggest problem, hasn't he? This is why he's gone with this system. Our biggest stockpile of good players is midfield. So he's trying to crowbar the midfielders in. You can't produce a team by crowbarring midfielders in. England national team proved that one. You've got to make a choice, and you then make proper tactics, not let's make tactics for the team I've chosen or the midfielders I've chosen.
I've seen so many ways to look at it. Emma, you have your say on Highland, and Andy, you as well, and then I'll bring Maisie in on something different. But I do want to hear what Emma and Andy have got to say about Highland.
I know I made that little joke last time about Hayley Ladd being a warm plug in the winter, but actually, it's a fact. Like, especially against Birmingham, we just need somebody that we know he's going to do a job. Yes, she did a mistake on Sunday, but everybody did. We just need her to sit and do Hayley Ladd things, and then she's actually an asset to Mark, and I don't think he's realised that her being there and her settlement of the team allows him to then potentially cherry pick his midfield around her, because then they can do more different things, and then just know that she can sit and do what she does best. I agree with you. Well. Sorry, I think the other point to add to yours is, if you're playing Hayley Ladd, it doesn't matter if your fullbacks are bombing on so much. Yeah, because she's there, she's ready. But that's what I mean. They can bob on, they can get at start them relationships, and like we've seen, Leah's not been up to then pace wise, but that's where you need Hayley, so she can ping the ball either from where if we're looking at a normal formation, from where she usually is out to the wing, then maybe to someone else jacket, and then by the time Leah gets to where she should be, pass it back and then we're in, rather than her just keeping the ball and running, because she can't at the minute do that 100% of the time. But then, like you say, you've got different options, and then there's Stanley that I actually thought was one of our best players on Sunday, which is again another revelation, and also says about the score. But yeah, you just need Hayley Ladd in, and then you can do what you want then, really, especially against Birmingham.
Andy, hi lad.
I'll take the hit. This is what the problem is when you have a problem in midfield in relation to the captain. Because that situation hasn't been resolved, it means you're sticking her in where maybe necessarily you wouldn't have her in at a certain point, and then you're having to make sort of different kind of like trade-offs in relation to attacking midfielders, wingers up front. Who we're going to have? We're going to have a 9. We're going to have a false 9. That's what the problem is. I mean, I think Hayley Ladd should start against Birmingham. The only thing I haven't seen, and obviously Chelsea, I was kind of in a world of hurt by the time she came on, I'll be honest. But like the Hayley that I remember was like noticeably 10 times more physical than every other player when she used to play. You know, that's where the whole, you know, Hayley's going to get you chant came from. And I don't know if she's dialed it down because of the high quality of the WSL referees, which obviously I've been very clear about, or whether or not it's maybe she's tried to play a different game. But I would like to see her play, and I'd like to see it being physical as well, because then we'd have a physical defense with Honor. And to be honest, Hannah Blundell was quite physical as well. Hayley would be doing her thing. And, you know, Kirsty Hansen's been someone who's always, you know, done a good tackle as well. So we'd have physicality throughout the pitch, which I think will come in handy with other teams as well, not just Birmingham.
Andy, just a quick one, just to wrap this one up before we move on to the next topic. Can you remember in our first season of the WSL, Hayley Ladd was like the first name on the team sheet, and we had 3 midfielders. It was Hayley Ladd, and then 2 of the other 3, or 2 of the other 4, probably 3 at the time. What's kind of happened to that then? Because she's still our best CDM. Why isn't she just coming straight in? I know you can't.
CDM.
It's. Oh, sorry. Repeat that. I lost whatever you just said then, John. Sorry.
No, I was going to say basically the fact that like Hayley Ladd always used to start, and then she was like your she was your CDM, and then you just chose the next best 2 regarding creativity, the best 2 creative players. But that's kind of gone out the window now, and not because of Skinner. This happened, like John mentioned, on the Casey towards the last few months as well. I appreciate the injuries, but yeah, I mean, would you like to see that come back with Hayley Ladd constantly being in there, and then the other 2 just rotate based on form?
I mean, constantly, is that not going the other way as well? I mean, at the end of the day, you've got to build, you know, your season up. You've got to build your strength up as well. I still think it goes back to the problem where we need to resolve the captain issue, because it's probably going to be a midfielder in relation to just the way people pick captains, or a defender it can be, but you know what I mean? And I think we are just sort of skating around the issue a little bit. You know, Katie's got to step her game up, because I'm not as strong on positioning like you guys are, but wouldn't Canzellen play in centre midfield as well, or is she more? She's not an attacking midfielder, is she, John?
No.
So that's the thing.
For me, she's more box to box without the engine, unfortunately. Her place is that slightly deeper. That she's great at feeding the balls. She's usually very good at shooting long range. She's just around the edge of the box, really. That's where her best play is.
Yeah, and I don't want people to think that we're completely forgetting Birmingham. At the end of the day, the RWSL side, every side can be any side, you know, on their day. I froze my proverbial off in Durham away first season. I can tell you that for free, you know, and that's one of the reasons why I'm going back there, to be honest, to hopefully watch us win in Durham is like a psychological thing. But I mean, in a way, you know, it is a good way to practice against, because we're seeing City next week. And you know, and we might go on to maybe some of the youngsters as well we could bring up, but you know, we could almost practice a little bit against Birmingham. Like, I'll just say it. Like a fighter might spar with a lesser fighter before they fight the big person. You know, at the end of the day, that's I think the way we've got to look at it, or Skinner's got to look at it.
Well,
you build motivation, don't? I mean, you build momentum by winning games.
That brings us on to Maisie's topic. So, Maisie, you obviously wanted to mention, you know, Skinner bringing the youth through. How important do you think that is?
I think bringing in the youth through it is important, and it's always been in Manchester United's blood anyway to youth cover success. Like bringing the youth through it, it's special, and you don't see any other team like Manchester United who do bring in youth. When Casey Stoney was Manchester United manager, you didn't really see it as much, like seeing them youth coming through. But Mark Skinner, he has brought in a couple of youth players already, like he's brought in Carrie Jones, he's brought in Tara as well, who has all gone on loan to Sheffield United. So you can tell that he is looking at that youth team very closely, and I think this game against Birmingham is probably the best time to bring that youth through, give them a little bit of a run time, even if it's the last 15 minutes of the game, just to do that, because we need to put our best starting lineup when it comes to Manchester City, because Manchester City, just like Chelsea, they are a really good attacking team, and we need to put our best starting 11 up. So I'd say as much as we should go all attacking for Birmingham, give these youth players a chance. And then if they play well, then we can see on how they go on for other games. If we play Reading again, for instance, or Leicester again, it's them kind of times you can rely on these youth players.
I think Carrie's going to be a good one for Sunday in regards to Russo, because if she does 60 minutes, that's fair enough, and then Carrie can come on for half an hour. I would still not see that as a lesser option. Well, a lesser option. Yeah, so that could be an option, and I think it should be.
I wanted Tanu to speak about that as well, because that's a good point, Emma, that you made. I know Tanu is a big fan of Carrie as well. I don't want to spoil your show that'll go out soon, Tanu, but you did mention that you want to see Carrie. You just kind of want to just talk a little bit about the reason why.
Like I didn't watch, like I talked about this to Andy as well. Why don't MUTV stream the Devs games as well? Because we'd like to see them. But from what I've seen from Carrie Jones in the preseason, she plays as Ella Toon plays. Okay, she can play up front, she can play in the midfield as well, she can play on the wings as well. And there was this certain game in the preseason, I don't remember which one, but like she was linking up really well with Leah Garten, Kirsty Hansen, Ona Battier, and Ivana Fuso.
It was Glasgow, I think, when we went Rangers.
Wasn't we, Emma?
Yeah, the Rangers game when we won 5-0, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, like, I'd like to see Carrie Jones. I'd say that I'd like to see her start, because I don't want to, put any pressure on Alessia Russo, because we need her fit for the Man City game. It's a big game. It's the Manchester derby. And Martha Thomas is out, so we don't really have a number 9 except Alessia Russo right now. Carrie Jones, I still don't know if she's a number 9 or she's a winger, but against Birmingham, I would love to see her play.
I want to bring Connor in, but I know that he's having a coughing fit, so
I was to say it's a bit early for Halloween, isn't it?
That wasn't actually me, that.
He's looking very, very red.
Oh, I'm
Colour coordinated, isn't it?
If I make it to the end of this stream, that should just like the video. If I make it to the end of this stream, there you go.
There you
John.
There's a few people want to see Carrie. I mean, there's a comment from our Chelsea supporter there saying it might be a change of formation to up top. I think we might not necessarily set up as something different, but throughout the game, if we are constantly dominating, I can quite easily see 3 at the back and push somebody else forward, which will push somebody else even further forward. At times this game, 2 players up top.
Yes, and ultimately, it's like we said, you use these kind of games, no disrespect to Birmingham, to rotate and to try some new things out. Obviously, in the Conti Cup as well, there's another chance to rotate a little bit and give maybe some of the youngsters a chance. And obviously, Man United traditionally, I don't know what the exact figure is now, but it's over 4,000 games in the men's with an academy graduate in it, over 81 years of history. Obviously, if we can get that across in the women's as well, it's just part of the culture of Manchester United as a whole. But in terms of the 2 up front, why not? It's like I said, you use these kind of games to rotate and to try new things out, because you don't want to be going into City trying and completely new formation, something you've never tried before. But at the same time, I don't want him to try something new against Birmingham. It works, and then go, oh, right, let's do that against City then, because you're going to get a completely different outcome. You can't do it 1 week and expect it to work. It's what I was saying about playing out from the back earlier. If that's how he wants to play, he's going to have to do that like forever now. Like, keep that going. You can't just do it 1 week, doesn't work, I'll scrap that, we'll do something else. Whatever he wants to do for his style of play for the season, he's going to have to stick with, because as a player, you don't want to be told, right, we're doing false 9 this week, next week we're doing 2 up top, next week we're going 4-3-3, next week we're doing 5 at the back, because then the players just going, well, what am I doing here? Like, 1 week I'm being asked there. I know tactics change in a game and things like that, but your overall style of play should need to be the same. So I just hope he can get a run of games now. Obviously, it's international break coming up, which doesn't help. I hope he can get a run of games where he can really implement what he wants. Obviously, it doesn't help with the injuries that Russo's had, and obviously Martha Thomas is now injured as well. But once people are fit, I hope he can just get his system in play and get that run of games. Because like I said, you use Birmingham to test it. But like I said, I think people need to be cautious. If it works against Birmingham, it doesn't mean it's going to go work against City, because they're a completely different outfit.
So jump in there, Andy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I suppose one thing we can say is, based on their manager's comments, we won't have to worry about any academy players, because they're not at the right level of of the WSL or whatever rubbish that guy said. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm interested in Ivana Fuso. I mean, we stopped her from going to Brazil, which is a big decision at any stage of your career. I would imagine, and I kind of thought there was a kind of unwritten rule that, we're going to, that's because she will play. And so far, she hasn't really played. I mean, to be honest, I've done it recently, so I can remember. But I'm not a million miles away from having to Google to work out where she's meant to play, because we haven't seen any of her really properly. I know she's a forward. It's not like we don't need any of them at the moment. And the only thing I will sort of have a slight poke with Skinner, because, I'm sure he knows I'm a fan, is she was meant to come on right at the end of the game against Chelsea, and we ran out of time. That shouldn't happen. It's basic management. You should never, if you want to put a sub on, it should get on, and that was a bit of a concern. But everyone's allowed a mistake, But I think I'd like to see her get some game time, definitely against Durham. I'm supporting what Maisie's saying about the youth. I think at least he's actually playing them. Casey just had them as statues on the bench, and that was towards the end of her tenure. Previous to that, she never really brought them in at all. So I do figure it flows with the culture of United much better, as kind of was saying with the history in the men's. But I really would like to see, as I say, Carrie has been getting more game time, so she makes sense. But why have we kept? Well, two reasons. Ivana's being called up for Brazil for a reason. Does the Brazilian manager want to tell Skinner what that is? Because he might actually then use her. And secondly, if we're not going to let her go, why isn't she playing? Because otherwise we should let her go.
I think a little bit was the whole COVID restrictions and all that jazz. I think she would have missed a game that obviously she didn't play for, but you don't know that until you're at the game. But yeah, I think that's just I'd love Pia Sundhard at United. Jeez. But anyway, that's for another story.
I think the other thing is Fuso's suffering from the fact we're not well stocked in attack, are we? Let's be honest. So he's not going to risk not having her just in case.
Yeah. As we all said before, we're very stacked on that midfield at the moment, and it's really good how we can say we've got so much midfield talent here at Manchester United, and it's like Mark Skinner has got that little bit of a job at the moment just to say who should start, who shouldn't start, who's best for who, especially with him being a new manager. He's basically learning just like the team is learning on who he thinks is best starting 11. Hayley, for me, she should definitely be on. As everyone has said, she is our best CDM, and Katie, I would like to see her have that little bit of a rest. Maybe that rest might do her that little bit good, because she has also been in the England squad as well as been with us too. So she needs that bit of that rest time. And Bo Reese, I would really love to see her, because she has come, and I've seen her from pre-season. I have really liked her. And when it came through to the new season, I was thinking, wow, I can't wait for her to come on. But we've not seen anything of her so far.
Yeah, just to finish up on this subject then, Emma, just we haven't mentioned much about Marie Edwards. Done really well for us, in the first couple of seasons. Our devs done really well at Blackburn. She's come back now. She's not on loan. She's with us. Is this the kind of game that you give her game time, or do you think Skinner's thinking, right, no, we need to put our best 11 out no matter what, because we need to get a result? Is Skinner in two minds for this particular game because of the results that we had against Chelsea?
I don't think she'll be anywhere near the team on Sunday. Sunday is about 3 points. It's not about experimenting with the devs. Maybe on the return fixture further on in the season, but eyes on the prize on Sunday.
Yeah, this will just make me laugh, so I'll stick it on there. Okay, so I think it's time to move on to the next topic, which Connor, do you want to bring this one in then, mate?
Sorry, I was not expecting you to come to me then.
In the room.
got my coughs out of the way. No, mine was just going to be just quite a simple one, I guess. Just the kind of importance of a cup competition over the kind of priority where it sits. Obviously we're in the Conti Cup. The FA Cup will restart whenever that finishes from last season. Where that kind of sits on the ladder in terms of, I know everyone's kind of aspirations, we want to see United win trophies and things like that, but is the importance of a top 3 finish more important than winning, let's say, a trophy? Because as the games start to stack up, I know there's not as many games in the WSL as there is in the men's game. However, you don't want to start seeing what we saw last year with injuries. So if you were to kind of prioritise, would you try and go for a trophy, or would you go for top 3? Me personally, it would probably be As much as I'd love trophies, I'd have to say try and sneak into that top three because with City's injuries, I don't think you're going to get a better chance. And the quality of players you can attract being in the Champions League are probably going to be higher than if you weren't. So I'm just interested to see where everyone's kind of thoughts are with those.
Let's go around the table then, because I like to ask everyone this, because it was split when we did the pre-season. I think we said, look, would you prefer a cup or would you prefer top three? I think it was pretty much divided. So, Atani, let's start off with yourself. If it is as simple as that, a cup or top three at this stage, where would you kind of fit?
John, I think from a fan's perspective, I'd like to go for a top three. But being practical, I think a trophy would be much, much better, because I think the squad that we have is good. I'm not denying that. But we don't have that strike force to get into the top three. Once Man City players are fit enough, I hope like their injury crisis continues, they'll be the injury FC. But at the same time, a trophy. I mean, the players need a trophy.
But then Andy, you next on this one then.
I've on record as saying I think we need it. It'd be great to get the Conti Cup sorted. But honestly, I'm agreeing with Connor. I think we need, City a low hanging fruit at the minute, as much as they ever will be. And if we can get a third place, then that should hopefully open up. Well, first of all, it should keep certain players. I think Honor and I know Leah's already on the contract, but they're the two strongest we've got outfield, and I really don't want them to go. And I'm saying they would go, but I mean, and obviously Jackie as well is a worry as well if we miss out on Champions League again. But I think football head on, it would be top three. But as a fan, I'd love to win a trophy. I'd love to have the experience of going to Wembley with you guys, for the FA Cup. Conti Cup, I think it's at a nominated men's stadium normally, isn't it? And it's not normally announced like 4 seconds before kickoff the week before, and it's not, you haven't got the groups of people there. But again, I wouldn't say no to it. But I think to sort of add a bit of colour to Connor's point, I think like the women's game hasn't worked out how important cup competitions are yet either. I mean, they worked it out for the sort of the championship and lower, and obviously that similar idea with the giant killing. But that's why I think with Conti Cup, it's basically almost a fully dev competition, but then it isn't when it gets to a certain point. So I suppose it's a little bit like the Carabao maybe in the men's game. But yeah, it's a long waffly way of saying third place. But I think Emma's got a point as well.
Yeah,
Can I change 1 minute? Can I change my answer? I didn't think that maybe Jackie and Ona might leave if we don't get Champions League football. So I want the top three. Sorry, I don't want the trophy. I want the top three.
Well, therefore, I now disagree with the Tanu, and I actually think we should get silverware. We need that confidence, and surprisingly, I'm agreeing with what Max Skinner said today in his press conference. We are still a young team. Even the other side of Manchester, well, their first silverware was a cup, I think, before they got anywhere. We just need that kind of like puff in our chest. Yeah, we've finally done it. And then I think top three. Yeah, obviously it's a perfect time when City aren't doing well, and obviously top three would be great. But we're not the only team that's doing well instead of City. So I think eyes on the prize for silverware, really.
This is interesting because I think we're looking at it not just. I like Atana's way of thinking, and some people in the comments about players could potentially leave, or alternatively, some players won't join us, so we'll never get better if we don't get that top three. So I know how important top three is, but would it be the end of the world if we come fourth again with everything that we've been through in the last 6 to 9 months? It probably would have been.
To be honest, I mean, Emma made a good point and made me almost want to change my answer a little bit, because if a player's got a memory of lifting a cup, that also can be quite strong as a memory. Do you get a memory necessarily of being third? You don't get, you don't get a bronze medal. There's no memory there apart from, next season we got Champions League. So maybe like psychologically, it might just, be better to win a trophy.
Well, why don't we just do both?
Well, I was just going to say, the reason I think we should go for silverware rather than top three is if the team the state is in now, even though obviously we have got good players, if we get screwed in the thingies and get Wolfsburg or Barcelona or something in one of the first rounds, we're going to get embarrassed. And I'd rather build it properly and get silverware and do it. And we are still a young team, even though it's United, so we should be winning. But I just don't think we're there yet, especially after Sunday.
No, I totally agree with Emma. I've said this pre-season. You go for silverware. We need, as a team that's only 5-6 years in existence, you win something. You don't go, well, we'll just keep playing for top 3. You need to win something to show that you're here and you're going to stay here. Then you build on that. And I totally agree with Emma. You're going to get wasted in the big leagues if you're not prepared, if you're not built up the right way.
So last game of the season then, John. It's the FA Cup final. I think it's actually in this season and not rolled over. It's last game of the season. If we win Chelsea, we make the top 3, or would you prefer to lose that one and win the cup final instead?
Jeez,
I don't know.
I wouldn't trust us to beat Chelsea, so I'd be going just go for the cup final.
Okay, and I just think, amazing. What's your preference? Would you like to see Man United women play in Europe next year with the risk of crashing out, like Emma said? But at least then we can attack new players and better players and keep our best players. Or would you like to see our team lift some sort of silverware?
But when the question first got answered, my mind was so divided because one part of me thinks I want to see Champions League football, but then the other part of me thinks Man United really need this trophy wear right now, just for the girls, just to feel like we've actually won something. We've got to the final. We've done it. Because the last time they really won that trophy, it was when we won the championship. So it's been quite a few years since a trophy has been won. So I was actually, once hearing everyone's opinion, I was leaning towards more Emma's, and I think it was her who persuaded me in the end. Like Emma has said, like Emma has said,
you're leading the way, Emma. I'd say you're drifting us towards you.
Pretty much. We're such a young team at the moment, and when you do look at, if we have a couple of injuries throughout the season, like if we have like a couple of defenders out, we have a couple of forwards out, that is good. We're gonna have hardly any squad depth, and that is gonna destroy us, especially if we was in Champions League football and we was playing against someone like Barcelona, if we was playing someone like Lyon. It's just gonna be very difficult for us. And for me, I think the best thing would be to concentrate on a trophy, win the FA Cup, win the County Cup, whatever is best, whatever Mark Skinner thinks this is our best shot, which one our best shot is. And then if we do get into the top 3 as well, that'd be brilliant. It would be a successful season. But I even think even top 4 is a successful season, considering where we was in 2018 going into the championship, and then now being in top 4, it's just absolutely brilliant.
Especially the doom and gloom that was around the club at the beginning of this pre-season.
Mm-hmm. Of course, because at the end of last season, it was just so much like everything was all up in the air. What is going on with the team? Everybody is leaving. We haven't got a manager. That's literally everybody's questions all up in the air. And now we've got that manager. We brought in really good players. There's no reason why we can't compete in any kind of silverware at all.
Yeah, I think just quickly, John, on the back of all of that as well. I think if we did get top 3, though, everyone's saying, would we have the squad? I think, and this is a whole other debate. I'm not even going to get into the owners and the kind of funds they'd put behind it. But would that not obviously keep the players that we've got? But would that not then attract more players so the squad would be bigger, so we could rotate more going into next season? I think if we had this squad now, if you said to us, right, we're playing Champions League next week, then yeah, I'd be a bit worried. But I think going into next season, should we get top 3, you'd like to think that the owners or whoever puts the funds in would put a little bit more aside just to get the players into, so we can compete. And also, I think it was Vicky said it earlier, and I put it in our private chat, European away days following the women around Europe. That just brilliant, right?
Yeah, go on. Yeah,
just a quick one to jump on that. But of course, I think we've got to remember it is that in the semis or even in the final, you're going to probably most likely going to have to beat a Chelsea, Arsenal, or Man City in a cup run anyway. So
Chelsea and City always play each other in the
that's true, actually. Yeah, but we always play City about 5 times a season, and then that goes wrong as well in the past. So, but yeah, good point.
We've got 20 people watching, which is really good for a Friday night. So I'm guessing that there's nothing else on TV or there's no other football matches on. So,
It's your charisma, John. Come on, it's your charisma.
No, it's you guys, I think. But if you are new to the
Definitely
channel,
not, John.
please hit the thumbs up and subscribe and tell your friends because you see what we do 6 nights a week plus pre-recorded content as well. Last topic then, Emma. This one's yours.
Well, it ties in quite nicely what we've just been talking about. I've just had a quick check on my phone. And if you look at the table right now, Spurs are second with 9 points. We're talking about top 3. We're not even there's other teams that we probably said that would be to the lower end of the league this year that are challenging, like Spurs and Brighton are doing really well. So the talking point I want to say is, are we actually? It's not just the top 3 anymore because we have actually got some contenders. What's people's thoughts? Would it be a failure if we finished beneath them? Just above City.
So just very quickly, so Everton was going to finish above us. Then we're going to think Tottenham's going to finish above us as well.
No,
not
a chance.
And that makes a great point. I mean, I do think Tottenham have kind of overachieved at the moment, but they're still there, aren't they? But who wants to jump in on this one first? We could all kind of have our say who could potentially finish above us. And you're smiling the most.
Only because you've got a mischievous glint. I've now noticed it now. So when it happens, I know something's going to come like that. You can actually see when it happens. Well, I mean, you could say Everton's gone a bit out to lunch. So that's one of them teams has just replaced Everton in that respect as a challenger to us. So it's maybe only one additional player, you know. I mean, obviously, I believe Chelsea play Brighton tomorrow, don't they? So we might have an answer to our question then.
Sorry, I was just seeing that comment underneath.
That's true. And it has only been obviously 3 games. I mean, I'm proper United now. I don't really watch that much more of the other WSL's games. I don't really know off the top of my head who the Spurs played in the first 3 games.
They got lucky against City, but they still won City.
So. They beat Reading and Birmingham 1-0 each as well.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a good point. I mean, at least they play in a stadium and not a park, so at least I can get more respect from them when we do play with them. Like, obviously with Everton, but Spurs and who's the other one? Brighton, isn't it?
Brighton, and then West Ham are Villa are 3rd at the minute, and I think West Ham are just underneath us.
Yeah, I mean, Brighton gets a lot of credit because of Hope Powell, and obviously her used to be in the ex-England coach, isn't it? And she has a lot of skills there, but I don't think they've got the squad to make it for the end of the season and stay where they are. But definitely, I think Spurs is a worry. But as I say, maybe they've just psychologically replaced Everton as our sort of nipping at our heels kind of position.
I must admit, I don't see Spurs as a worry. I really don't. I think, like you say, it's 3 games in. It's nowhere even near to being sorted into the league it's going to be. I think you look about 12 games at the very earliest. So even us not dropping points, or even us not dropping points till Chelsea, didn't matter. You really do need to have played each other first, know what's going on. Spurs last season were difficult to beat, so the fact that they're being difficult to beat again, I'm not shocked at. But I don't see them getting enough wins to be challenging top 3. It's whether we can beat those sort of teams to put us in the position. That's the one that interests me, really.
Emma, you know a lot more about women's football than I think any of us on here. You've followed it the longest. What are you seeing in Tottenham at the moment that makes you think that potentially they could sustain what they've got? I'm not putting words in your mouth, but they have started well, and you've asked this question for a reason.
Yeah, and obviously Spurs got lucky with the City game, but when we stop laughing at that, we'll carry on. But Brianne Skinner's a very good manager, and obviously she's been in the England setup a long time. And obviously she had 12 months, obviously, last season to get everybody in, and there must have been a reason why she got rid of so many players to build something new. And that, at the moment, is working. And I'm always Australian Agenda FC. So bringing in Kia Simon is a shrewd move, really, because she's one of those peripheral players for the Matildas team, and she wants to be at that home World Cup. And she's no spring chicken anymore, so she needs to prove a point. Rachel Williams is having a second resurgence of her career, scoring 300, well, not 300 goals, but like getting back on the score sheet. And there's something there. I don't know what it is, but there's something there. And obviously, like you say, playing at the big stadiums obviously helps. And they've got I think they've got a good spread of youth and age, because some of their defenders, like the American ones that have come over, and I think there's a couple of Canadians. I think it's just a good balance. I sound like I'm a Spurs fan. I'm not.
You're going to show us your Spurs shit for sure in a minute.
That's all we're going for. And then to Brighton as well. They've snuck in with some good signings, really. Dan Carter obviously didn't do very well at Reading, and they've just replaced her with another aged striker.
Hey, it's nice to retire next to the sea.
Who was her?
It's nice to retire next to the sea.
Hey, well, touching on Brighton, and I'll move on to Connor now. But we had Simon Feston on the show. Simon Feston's a Jamaican sports journalist, and when no one else was mentioning Brighton, he was. And like, I kind of slumped it off at the time, thinking, "Oh, what you want about?" But it's the only one. He was the first one to mention it. A few people are jumping on saying that Brighton's kind of. Are you kind of looking over your shoulder at the likes of Everton, Spurs, or Brighton, or are you still thinking to yourself, right? Chelsea and Arsenal, yep, no problem. They're doing really well, but we've got a chance to catch City. Where are you kind of sitting at the moment?
To put it quite bluntly, no, because United were top last January and we finished fourth. So,
Yeah, but half of our team got injured, so.
Yeah, but that's kind of my point. The league can change so much in, what are we, 3 games in already? Yeah. Tottenham have played, like I said, you could argue the 2 of the worst teams in the league and beat them 1-0 each in Reading and Birmingham. I don't know. To be honest, I haven't watched Brighton. I can't judge them. From what I've heard, they look decent. So do Villa. I know Nat's a big fan of the manager over there. But I'm not worried about that. I'd be more worried if we get to kind of January, February, and we're still 5th, 6th. Maybe 6 or 7 points off kind of top 4. Then I'd be a little bit worried. But I think right now I'm not looking at any of those teams. Every time I look for the games at the weekend or look for results, I'm only interested in City, Chelsea, Arsenal. I don't look at how other teams are doing yet. Like I said, if we get to December, January, and we're still kind of there's like a 6 to 10 point gap, then I'll start looking at those going, actually, we need to start beating those. I get it. You've got to beat what's in front of you. And that's what Spurs have done. It's funny because it's City, but let's not be real. They didn't deserve to beat City. But we'll take it and run away with it. But yeah, I'm in answer to your question, to put it in the bluntest way possible, no, I'm not looking at any of those teams. Or not yet anyway, I should say. I said wait until kind of midway through at least.
Just finish off with Atani and Maisie then. Atani, like your thoughts on like the league position? Are you kind of thinking that maybe like below 4th or above 4th or 4th?
I think we'll probably end up finishing 4th, in my opinion, especially if we are going to go for a cup challenge. Then I think we'll probably end up going 4th. In terms of obviously looking at teams like Spurs, Brighton, Aston Villa, who are doing well at the moment, the best thing what the girls should do, and Mark Skinner, is to not even look at their kind of results. They've won 3-0 against Manchester City, but then they need to think none of them are a threat to us, and we need just to come out with a clear head thinking we are the best team on this pitch and this is how we should play every single week. Even if we do play against champions Chelsea, or if we play against Arsenal, who are playing amazingly at the moment as well, we still need to always think we are the best team on that pitch. For me, I just don't feel like we are that. I think we're just that much away from Champions League football. I just don't feel like we're just there at this moment in time. Maybe if it gets to Christmas time and we might be in the top 3, maybe we have that little bit of a better chance of having that Champions League football. But I just don't feel like it's our time at this moment in time. And maybe in a season or 2, I think that could be a better chance for us. And I think it'll be better for the squad as well.
Tanya, just finish off for yourself. We've nearly gone for about an hour now. Who do you think is more likely to catch us? Can you see Everton starting to come back now after their 2 defeats at the start of the season? Or do you agree with them that maybe something about Tottenham or Brighton?
Do I need to come in?
Yeah, you're seeing Tanya. Yeah.
Something happened because it's raining. Apparently, the
Oh,
Manchester
sorry,
weather is in
Tanya. Yeah,
India.
no problem. I was just asking about just to finish the show with yourself on this topic, league position. Are you kind of looking over your shoulder, or do you think we've got nothing to worry about?
Realistically, I think fourth. With a fan's perspective, I would love to go for a top three for United. I think City's injury crisis is going to hamper their season. Of course, the injuries won't remain always because it's Manchester City. But at the same time, I think top three is achievable. Fourth is good, but below fourth, anything below fourth will be very bad because we've got good players, we've got a good team, so we should be doing good. Everton, Everton won't be in the top six. I'll say it right now. Everton won't be in the top six. I think
Who will be
Aston
then?
Villa.
Aston Villa, yeah.
Aston Villa makes it to the top six. Arsenal, City, Chelsea, United. I'd go with Brighton, but I think it's between Brighton and Everton. But I don't want Everton in the top six because I need to banter them a lot.
100%, yeah. I think I've got my Mark Skinner glasses on because I'm still thinking that City aren't doing great. If we can just get a few wins again, let's see what happens. But I'm fully aware that it could be a long season, and I think some fans are saying that. But at the moment, we're still in. We're kind of where I was expecting us to be. 1-2, lost 1. We just need to keep on winning all the easy games, and then hopefully get a couple of draws against the tougher teams. But easy said than done, I guess. It is the end of the show. I know we've had a massive panel today, so we haven't had a chance to speak to everyone for as long as we usually do. But thank you very much for coming on. There's been lots of people watching today. I think we might have some people watching today that's never been on the channel before. So thank you if you have been watching. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, please subscribe.
Connor's fan club, isn't it?
Connor's made his first day as well. I know we got a big fan base in India. Thank you to Asanu, and I know John was a regular one here now as well, and Emma. The fed up of seeing Andy, I think, but no, Andy's a one regular on this show, so it's great to have. So yeah, thank you for a fantastic show. We've had some great comments today, and plan for the rest of the week. It's Friday today, so Saturday. So tomorrow we've got the usual bed and match show. If you want something different and you just want a bit of banter, something a bit more light-hearted, if you want to take the mick out of bed and match, which is so easy to do, get in the comments tomorrow. It's a different vibe, it's a different kind of show, but yeah, get in the comments. Then Sunday. Match day, but we've got a good day planned, haven't we, guys? So we've got 2 or 3 matches going on in one go on Sunday. So a few of the guys are coming to my house to watch my local team, Stourbridge, play.
Supporting the opposition.
Yeah, you're all supporting Sophie Rico's team. Head by Treatment, Ladies in Red channel. So I'll be there too for my local team, Stourbridge, and they'll be like, "What you bought all these for?" They're supporting the opposition. So we've got that one going on. At the same time, we've got Matt, Ben and Gareth going to watch Leicester play. And then we'll all meet up at St Andrews to watch a 5-0 win, Man United against Birmingham. That's what I'm hoping for. So yeah, keep your eye on our Twitter page, keep your eye on YouTube. We've got quite a bit of content going on. And you know what? That is absolutely great. Thanks for putting that comment on because Andy Slater's doing a cracking job there. If you don't know what that is, go to Andy Slater's Twitter, which is SL8R, I think, Slater. I think he's doing it that way. If not, I'm going to have to retweet it now and tag him. But he's doing a great job. Nobody else is doing what he's doing. He's selling these fanzines outside the stadium and online, dirt cheap prices, and the money goes back into supporting the club. So it's
the real quality.
Yeah, I've got both of the editions, so it's definitely worth it. So yeah, I'm going to end the show there because it's getting late for a time now, and I'll catch you guys very soon. Thank you, guys.